Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome this morning to this special call. And this call was put together over the last day or two with Linda out of Montana. Linda wanted to share some of this with you. Linda has just recently joined us, and it's great to have Linda on the line with us today. So welcome as well, Linda. And so what we want to do today is to introduce you to Mark PU'ER. Mark PU'ER has been involved in the research community now for, over 35 years. And he's a scientific researcher and a scientist. He's a product formulator. He's also very familiar with the medical space. And today he's also the importer of license here for the INFINITUS products in Canada. He's been the one responsible for farming it out to the independent laboratories for batch testing and ingredient testing, and so he'll be able to share any information of that. And of course, everybody knows Dr. Stephen Brown out of Connecticut, and Dr. Stephen Brown has been involved in the industry now for many, many years, been a significant builder in the industry, and brings a lot of integrity and wisdom to this space. And so what I'm going to go ahead and do is turn it over to Stephen Brown. Are you with us, Stephen?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can hear you loud and clear. And you've also got Mark PU'ER on the line joining you as well.
Good morning, Mark. Thank you so much for joining us amidst your growing busy schedule.
My pleasure, Stephen. I'm happy to be involved.
Yes, and I would like to replicate that statement. I'm happy to be involved as well, and I think I can say that for my good friend Linda Dugan, who is a tremendously nurturing and wise and allowing field leader whose manner of working with her people is simply breathtaking in the scope of its selflessness. And Linda is a person who is reflective of gratitude in its most magnificent sense. So Linda has some questions, and being a great field leader as she is, she's crafted her questions so they're not simply questions that she has. They're questions that have enduring value in others listening to the answers that are forthcoming from you, Mark. So let me turn this over to you, Linda, and have you ask some of your more pressing questions of Mark.
Well, thank you, Stephen, and it's nice to meet you in person over the phone instead of just on the corporate calls, Mark.
Well, thank you, Linda. You'll find that I'm exactly the same person no matter what the conversation.
Well, then we're two peas in a pod there, so thank you very much for that. Well, I know that we are on a limited time schedule, so I want to get right into asking the questions.
Sure.
So I'm going to, some of my questions were formulated by just information that I would like to know and that I know that the people that I would be speaking to about these products would be interested in as well. Other questions that I have come up either from information that I've gleaned from the calls or from the printed information that we have available to us at this point. So my first question is, does every product have a patent?
Actually, no, they do not. Keep in mind that these products are formulated according to the paradigm of traditional Chinese medicines, and they are classic formulations that go back centuries, if not millennia. The formulations themselves are very much in the public domain. Anybody that chooses to is certainly entitled to attempt to try and duplicate this work. But patents cover a number of things. In the natural products realm, they usually cover content and do not relate so much to the methods by which the ingredients are prepared and then indeed how the final product is prepared. The advantage that INFINITUS holds over any potential rival or challenger in this field is that they work to immaculate standards, and they go above and beyond the techniques usually used to make products of this nature. They have stated to me on a number of occasions that within their research and development department, they have 4,000 people, which is remarkable. I mean, that rivals some of the larger pharmaceutical companies in the world. What they explained in terms of protecting intellectual property is that they probably wouldn't be able to. And second of all, they really feel that they don't need to. They welcome competitors. Their standards are so high and their products are so well done that I don't really think there's anything to worry about.
Oh, that is an excellent explanation. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so we all know, and you have mentioned it on the call yesterday, that quantities are important. But when people look at labels, they see different quantities. And some people have the misconception, I've known this for years, that they think, oh, the larger quantities is the better product. And yet we all know who have studied products of this nature for many years, that it's the quality of the ingredients is more important than the quantity.
Yes.
However,
I may add to that, if you'll permit, is that not only is it quantity and quality of the ingredient, but the proportion of the ingredients is significant within traditional Chinese medicine as well. And so is the selection of the supporting herbs. That is, as I described yesterday, we now have a product available in Canada, or will have within the next couple of weeks, that contains a very large amount of ginkgo biloba. But in that formulation, it is supported by the herbs that will allow ginkgo to perform its best within the user. And that's of vital importance also.
Yes, it is, and thank you for that additional information, because that's very important. So the question that I was getting at is, and it ties in with what you've just said, is when these clinical trials have been done by scientists and stuff, and we've got scientific papers to back things up.
Yes.
Those tests were done on certain quantities.
Correct.
So in our products, do they have the quantities of each individual ingredient that does have research papers backing up the efficacy of the ingredient? Do our products meet or exceed those quantities that were in the trials?
Yes, they do. And you'll find that as you get to know me through the coming months and years, hopefully, I am a great stickler for scientific evidence. As I mentioned privately in meetings, and have started to mention in public meetings as well, that I'm not a big believer in internet searches. They tend to present a lot of misinformation to people. My preference when I do my literature reviews is to only look at peer-reviewed journals, published by university professors whose jobs depend on telling the truth in their studies. Tenure is threatened if you make things up in a published paper. So they're very careful about what they publish. These products definitely contain the quantities that have been found to be clinically effective in research studies. And it goes to standard of evidence as well. My highest standard of evidence that I always look for and support are studies done in humans, not in rats, not in primates, not in tissue culture, but human studies, and properly placebo-controlled, double-blinded studies, randomized where possible. After that, I look to epidemiological studies, and always will search for papers that truly relate to the products themselves. I look at other companies' websites and look at the scientific evidence, and I'm putting quotation marks around the words evidence for the sake of this discussion, and see that at best they will include the names of papers. Beyond that, they might include the occasional abstract. In many cases, they will cite a paper that has nothing to do with their products, and I prefer not to work that way. my preference always is to provide genuine evidence that's been studied independently and verified by the editorial board of the journal. And that's what I put forward in support of evidentiary standards for these products. Now, I don't really settle for anything less. So, please do look at the papers. Again, the average lay reader may not understand them entirely, but do at least read the introduction. They provide valuable insight into the history of use of the ingredients and the products, and a great way for the general public to understand.
Well, thank you so much for that, and that's why we need you with your expertise.
Well, thank you. It's nice to be needed.
Because you can take this information for the layperson, such as myself, and you can put it into terms that we can truly understand, digest, and value. And thank you for saying, for letting all of us know, read the first few sentences, because that's really where the nuts and bolts are. And that's what I found over the years when I go to PubMed or something to read something. It's like the very first paragraph, boy, I can understand it, and I love it. But I get into it.
And then they go all scientific on people.
Yes, exactly. Well, let's move on. My next question is about all of the ingredients, the herbs, the mushrooms, and everything. And I'd like to know, in the processing of, putting them into capsules or the tea or what have you, making powders out of them, are they destroying, in the process, the life force or the vibrational frequencies of live food? Are they heated to the degree that the enzymes are killed? Could you please talk about that?
Certainly. It's a very good question, and the answer to that is no, they are not destroying anything. They are very careful with the way they handle their herbs. I must say, first of all, that Infinitus is a unique situation in this world in that the company itself controls the farms. If it's an ingredient not grown on a farm that they own, they work under long-term contracts with the growers and teach the growers proper handling of the herbs. At every point from the time when a seed is planted until the final product is manufactured, they work with very low temperatures. They work with natural conditions for storage and processing. The herbs themselves are not chemically treated to make them last longer. There is nothing about any part of the process that destroys any of the active constituents of the herbs.
Oh, that is fabulous news. All right. Now, along the same line, the very first product that Stephen shared with me when he called me was the tea. And as soon as he said that the tea has been fermented, I was elated because I have not only studied and used over many, many, many years fermented products, but I have also made my own fermented products. I highly believe in the importance of the human body consuming fermented products on a daily basis, and many times a day, actually. And so my question is, one, I'm absolutely thrilled, before I get to my question, that it takes 10 years to develop the product with the proper fermentation and everything, and that is just delightful to me. But my question goes along with the question I just asked. With the fermentation, when it's processed and dried and put into the tea form, is the fermentation, are the active ingredients of the reason fermentation is so beneficial for our health, are those constituents still within the product, even though we're adding hot water to it to make it into a tea? And I love the fact that we don't have to put hot water, but through the processing of what the company does and through the consumer using hot water, is the active benefits of fermentation still there for us?
Oh, yes, they are. The primary ingredients brought out in the species of plant, Camellia sinensis, and that refers to all teas, whether it's the kind of tea you would buy in a grocery store, in the coffee section, or green tea from a health food store, or in this case, black tea, also in the form of PU'ER tea. It's all the same plant. Let me give a bit of history about PU'ER tea and explain to people how it's made, and this might be a little bit enlightening. The camellia that is put into this tea comes specifically from Yunnan province in China. So soil conditions and elevation and other conditions of the atmosphere, etc., are best for growing this particular tea that goes into the PU'ER tea. After harvest, it is fermented with species of Aspergillus fungus that are native to the soils in Yunnan. So the fungus itself is compatible with the tea, and the process takes 10 years. During that time, a number of the constituents of the tea leaves are modified as a result of the Aspergillus metabolism, and these are the molecules that are of benefit to humans. The primary molecules fit into the category of polyphenols, and polyphenols are tremendously stable in heat. They do not break down at elevated temperatures, and those are what do us the most good in these products. So it's heat stable. The ingredients survive virtually any kind of attack from the outside environment, so that they are available for humans as we drink the tea. And that is the primary benefit of the PU'ER tea.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for that. All right, now, a product that has had no discussion on the calls at this point because of the fact that it's not available for purchase at this point, and that is the product for diabetics that we have. So one of my questions along that line is, has it already been approved by Health Canada? And once it is, or if it is, do you have a time frame of when that product will be available for purchase?
Okay. Well, also a very good question. I believe the product you're referring to is the one currently marketed under the name of Gluco-8. Is that what you're referring to?
I don't know. I'm not familiar with that term.
All right. I expect that is the case. We have not yet made a submission to Health Canada for the approval of this product for the following reason. Of course, as soon as you say no to something in a call, people immediately start to feel their blood pressure rise and say, uh-oh, there's a catastrophe lurking just around the corner. That's not the case here. Gluco-8 has been available in the Chinese market for many years and has been found to be very effective helping people with diabetes control their blood glucose content. However, the product is about ready to be discontinued because the Research and Development Department has created a product that is better than Gluco-8. And they have not yet put it into commercial form, so it's not really possible to submit an application for approval yet. However, I am told that it is one of their highest priorities for early in 2017. And we are very active here. When we are given the go-ahead to submit an application, we have it complete within 48 hours. And that includes all matters of satisfying Health Canada's standards of safety and efficacy. It includes the product specification we must submit with the product, the application itself, and any number of support documents. We've been doing this for many years. Through the course of time since the inception of Canada's Natural Health Products Directorate in 2004, we have submitted approximately 7,000 applications for drug approvals. So we have a pretty good feel for what an application requires. Generally, we find that even if it is a complex formulation that Health Canada has never seen before, we do manage to get approvals within about 120 calendar days. That's the outer limit. At the inside limit, many products can be approved within 30 days. I have not yet seen the final formulation, but I am told it is on the priority list for the first quarter of 2017.
Well, thank you for that detailed information. So, taking that into consideration then, and this will be my last question, is what are the products that are available to us now that will help the people who have diabetes so that they can start, receiving some help until this new product is released?
Certainly. Well, right now the best product for the purpose is the Premium Nutrients for Better Health. When I asked company officials how they describe that product to the users, they say, imagine the human body has an army inside of it. And again, they're speaking in terms of the paradigm of traditional Chinese medicine. I immediately thought, well, you're talking about the cells of the immune system, aren't you? And they said, well, probably. It's not quite the same concept, but more or less there are parallels. And so I said, well, you're talking about the cells of the immune system, aren't you? And they said, yes. So, between standard Western medicine and traditional Chinese medicine, there are tremendous parallels. We can more or less talk on the same terms. They described Premium Nutrients for Better Health as the body's trainer. You take that product every day and it preconditions your organs for better health. So it's not specifically for diabetes, but they are finding that people who are diabetic are getting better insulin control. Remember, it's not designed for that purpose. It's not perfect for that purpose, but it's a start. And when they do bring on the genuine glucose control product in the future, they will have the right product for the purpose. Keep in mind, however, that there are many aspects to dealing with diabetes. It's not just a matter of giving a person a drug or a herb or any compound that specifically, immediately controls dietary or circulatory system sugar. It's more a matter of lifestyle as well. And what we are finding is that a person's weight is an important consideration in diabetes. A person's activity level is very important to this. And, if you take products that allow you to exercise a little bit more, if you allow products that prevent you from getting other illnesses, if you allow the shortly available Shizandra Plus to control your stress, then certainly you have a leg up on diabetes. It's really a matter of control. Remember, diabetes has no specific cure. It's just best to keep it under control. And the combination of products from INFINITUS, even the ones that are available now, assist. Shortly we will have a product that will be much better for the purpose.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for answering all of my questions in such a beautiful fashion. And so I'm going to turn the call back over to Stephen now.
Certainly, you're welcome.
Thank you, Linda. Your questions reflect a magnificent insight and overview, and are service-oriented in a selfless way. And I know that anyone listening to this call in the future will be very grateful that you went within yourself and took the time to ask so carefully crafted questions. And Mark, let me ask you a question. First of all, in Canada and the United States, there is a different vantage point on the articulated efficacy and specificity of the products. I would like you to, in a brief moment, do two things. One, would you surround what you just said with appropriate compliance so that it is instructive to the individuals in the U.S. and Canada who are listening to this? And secondly, would you give us a nutshell perception into your heart and thought that led you to, for the first time in 35 years, even express an interest, let alone manifest it, as an actual participant in a network marketing company? Now, we only have a few minutes. So
well, all right. Thank you. I'd be happy to. And you have reached a subject for which I can talk for hours. But let me take a historical perspective. I think this might be most helpful to people. Let's go back to around the year 1990, so not the too far distant past, but at that time, both the United States and Canada recognized the same dilemma. The natural products industry was burgeoning at that point. Most consumers used a variety of vitamin supplements, mineral supplements, herbal supplements. They were starting to question the value of prescription drugs in their life. They wanted to deal with prevention. They wanted to deal with wellness. And in environments like that where there is consumer demand, governments in North America must be responsive. They know that. But they looked at the industry and said, well, these products aren't really foods. They aren't really drugs. How do we fit them into each country's Food and Drugs Act? And quite the dilemma. And of course, you are correct, Stephen, in saying that our two nations took different approaches. Let's begin in the United States, where things happened first. The natural products industry was looking for a home. It was looking for support in the government and found a champion in Utah's Senator Orrin Hatch. Hatch took it upon himself to write the first draft of what became the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act, which was passed in 1994. For the longest period of time, the industry thought it had a free ride. That is, the Food and Drug Administration said, all right, in order for you to market these products, we will force you to put a disclaimer on the label of every product that says the Food and Drug Administration has not evaluated this product with respect to its ability to diagnose, mitigate, or treat any illness. And the industry said, great, we don't have to prove anything. We don't have to provide evidence of quality assurance. We don't have to provide evidence that these ingredients do the job that they're supposed to do. And in exchange for that, of course, the government in the United States curtailed label claims. They said, we will look over claims very carefully. We will certainly allow companies to state what is in their product. That's truthful. We will allow, to a certain extent, structure-function claims to say the ingredients in the product may support, for example, a healthy circulatory system. But they definitely would not permit treatment claims in which the product would say, take this product to cure your migraine headache or to address your restless leg syndrome or anything like that. And only recently, within the last couple of years, has the Food and Drug Administration started to make an effort to enforce the second half of DSHEA, and that relates to quality assurance. They are now inspecting facilities to make sure products are clean and manufactured according to specification. And the United States is now starting to fall into line with the way the rest of the world treats these products. The rest of the world, including Canada, regards these products as drugs. Back in early 2000, Health Canada, acting as an agency of the federal government of Canada, Health Canada is our equivalent of the FDA, they began to solicit opinions from industry participants about where we should go with these products in terms of a regulatory environment. And the response from the industry and the public in Canada suggested that they agree with the attitude in the United States. The products aren't really food or drugs, but let's not create an act like DSHEA. Let us instead create a separate division within Canada's Food and Drugs Act that relates to what we call natural health products. And in Canada, a natural health product is what you in the United States would refer to as a dietary supplement. They are very much equivalent. So within Health Canada, a new unit formed. Its inception was in 2004, and that unit is called the Natural Health Products Directorate, which is in charge of licensing products like this. Even vitamin C in Canada is a drug, and if you want to sell a vitamin C product here, you must make application to Health Canada for its approval as a drug. You have to show evidence of safety and efficacy. By virtue of the application and approval process, Health Canada permits label claims that are quite a bit more extensive than the claims that are permitted in the United States, because after all, now we have a situation in which, by virtue of the assignment of the natural product number, and in yesterday's call I brought a couple of new ones to the attention of the audience, again, by virtue of the assignment of that NPN, we have a statement from the federal government of Canada in which they say, we agree with you. Yes, this product has been evaluated with respect to its safety and efficacy in humans in the dosages found in the products. So to get an approval here, the dosage must be effective, and the product has got to show some evidence that it's going to do what it says it's going to do. And that's the environment in which we work in Canada. When INFINITUS first began to expand outside of its native market in China, it chose Canada. And I asked why, and they said, because along with the Therapeutic Goods Administration in Australia, Canada has the highest regulatory standard for products of this kind in the world. And just like the old song says, New York, New York, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. That's the decision they made about Canada. By meeting Canadian standards, they are ready to expand all over the world. And so that's what we are doing for them. We're knocking off the products one at a time. They send me a formulation, I submit the application, and every product application we have submitted has been approved. To me, that's very impressive. It means the products work. That's the assurance made to the public. And to answer the second part of your question, it actually relates to the first part of the question. And sorry, it takes me a moment to catch my breath. I get excited about things like this. I've been involved, as Rob suggests, with the natural products industry and the network marketing industry for 35 years. And I've seen everything. From a formulation perspective, from a manufacturing perspective, and from a quality assurance perspective, I have seen some products that are truly very good. And I'm certainly not going to name any of the situations that aren't as good, but the number of situations that are not very good vastly outweigh the situations that are. There are some truly atrocious products in the market. They are money grabs. I mean, products that are formulated so weakly and with such a poor choice of ingredients, particularly with regard to their combination, that these are products that genuinely do more harm than good. And when I've approached the owners of the network marketing companies about the nature of their products and why they choose to put that into the market, the answers are always the same. They say, well, government tells us we have to sell a product. I mean, it can't just be the compensation plan. We only care about the compensation plan, but we have to have products. That's what the government insists upon. So, no, we don't have a research and development department. We have a phony scientific board that makes its recommendations. All of those people are on commission. We have a number of other circumstances. And, yeah, we know the product is contaminated with bacteria, but it hasn't killed anybody yet. I look at that and say, why on earth would anybody sign into a company like that? INFINITUS was first brought to my attention in May of this year. I was contacted by a law firm here in Toronto that I work with from time to time, and they asked if I would be willing to help with Canadian regulatory matters for this new company headquartered in China, very large but completely unknown on this side of the world. And I said, okay, sure, why not? Went down to meet a couple of representatives from the company that were visiting the law office in May. The people there made a great impression on me with their sincerity. Beyond all things, they showed me very clearly that INFINITUS wanted to do things right. And so I began work on the regulatory aspects of it. And in Canada, the importer of record that handles the warehousing and order fulfillment has an obligation to attend to quality assurance functions. And that means the responsibility of the quality assurance person is to prove to the Government of Canada that any lot of manufactured goods is worthy of release to the public. It has to be free of microbes, free of heavy metals, free of pesticides, solvents, adulterants, meaning unauthorized and unnamed pharmaceutical drugs that magically appear in some formulations. And I had the opportunity to review all of those records, and not the lab reports from China, but I requisitioned independent testing by unbiased laboratories here in Canada. And all of the products came back immaculately clean. What an impression. Then I got the chance to meet senior management from the company, and they said, we don't even talk about the compensation plan in our meetings. All we want to do is get people to use these products. You know, they could not have made a better impression on me. And after 35 years of not doing anything to bite the hand that feeds me, of course, but not being terribly impressed with much of what goes on in the industry, this company made a very solid impression on me. And when they asked me to occasionally speak on behalf of the products, I said, I will do so gladly. And here I am.
Thank you very, very, very much, Mark, for what is a very genuine and honest expression of the deepest layers of integrity within yourself that seem to sing in joy at the perspective of being involved with something that reflected upon it and amplified it and allowed you to disperse its message and still feel very comfortable within your own world. I think that I would like to conclude the call with certainly much gratitude to Rob and to Linda and, of course, to Mark, and mention that if those of you listening to this call sensed a difference in the, might say, vibration or space-giving nature of the people that are involved with this company, and a sense of service and selflessness that anticipates a great deal of abundance, not because of making it happen or contrivance, but simply by being a part of something whose natural flow has within itself the call of health and happiness and abundance, which is basically the major components of Infinitus. So with that, I want to say thank you very much, and for all of those of you who just listened to this call and will do so in the future, this was a magnificent occasion of the planting of something that will bear great fruit in all of our lives. Thank you so much.